Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday. This is Jessica here. I'm just outside enjoying a spinach square that my future mother in law made for all of us and watching the beautiful colors that are starting to form from the afternoon sun going down. And I wanted to talk more in depth about this podcast that my best friend Karen Eld is on, that she just was on recently, actually, probably the past 2 days. It's the 18th today, so it's probably of May, and it was probably about 2 days ago. And the facilitator of the podcast, his name is Bob Priest, spelled like priest, like a church priest. And he brought her on, and they talked about, well, his whole podcast, to back up, is about alternative methods of healing, like meditation, all that stuff. Um, but he brought her on specifically because she does something different that I've only, until I met her, didn't know anything about, which is, and I might be saying it completely wrong because it's a long name, but it's biocranial sacral therapy, or working, or the way she does it is working with the energy, or life force of the body, and using the those energies to identify, move, and release trapped tension, pain, diseases, or rather dis-ease, as I also just recently started to understand it as, the body's way of manifesting the trapped energies within ourselves, dis-ease, or causing the body to come out of its natural state of balance or ease. And I met Karen a while back. We actually worked at a dispensary together. I started there, and then she came, and it transformed us into like this crazy friend dynamic, that I just didn't even expect, and it was awesome. But first, she showed me, um, tuning forks was like the first thing that she showed me that was like, okay, you are a esoteric person that's totally into the same stuff as me, and we hit it off from that point. But then she started to show me other things with healing, and about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, she started to show me this training that she was taking, the biocranial sacral training, and she was asking if I could be like a test subject, or for her program that she wanted to start. And so she walked me through it, and of course we did like extra stuff, and all of that to kind of give her ideas on what to do, as she moved forward. It changed and everything, but right now, uh, she's working on, ooh, cardinal. Oh my gosh, the most beautiful red cardinal, so incredibly red, just flew back by. The birds that have been here this year have been crazy colors, like so much more vibrant than I've ever seen them. But anyway, she explains it more in the podcast, and I'm going to link that podcast episode down below, just in case you're interested in it, or if not, even to get the proper name so you can do your own research on it. But I wanted to talk about it and really get it out there because I genuinely feel like this modality of healing is one of the most incredibly untapped, like treasure troves that anybody could come across, because it doesn't, it approaches dis-ease and other traumas of the body and mind and soul in a way that's more holistic rather than just traditional medicine, um, and how it's more targeted. And the way she explained it, and the way it really resonated with me was, having doctors or professionals tell me, or her, or anybody, that there was only one way to do something. And for myself, that was, it started with when I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is a gut disease that once you have, you can't undo. And basically what it does is it causes inflammation in the gut and ulcers in the gut, the lower half of your gut, so the colon and the large intestine, or the lower half of the large intestine. It can range, there's different types, but the one that I have, lower half. So the not fun part. And that was what really kind of sent me on, or started a lot of my spiritual journey, because at the time I had doctors saying, well, you look fine, there's nothing wrong with you. They didn't even want to really go deeper into anything. And then when they finally had no choice, because the disease showed itself in a way that it couldn't be ignored, that's when they finally were able to, or that's when they took it seriously. And then that's when all their other part of it started to happen, where they were saying, well, you can't do this without our help, basically, or the help of A, B, and C medicine, which would be 8+ pills a day. And you would inevitably have to increase the amount. And that was a very bleak future for me, especially since I'm a person that doesn't even take Advil unless I'm literally keeled over in pain. I don't think that I know that for myself, I know for myself that these things are caused from so much other stuff that it doesn't need a magic quick fix for me. So I've really stayed away from medicines. And I'm gonna pause the video for a sec so I can eat a bite. Okay, so, but when someone tells me that I can't do something, I don't care what it is. It almost instills that I'm gonna try because you told me I can't. So now I have to almost prove it to myself that that's not true. And without being at the detriment to myself, I went down a really long path of trying to figure out how to do this go into remission without their help, or without the medicine's help. Because I did the research. I had friends who were also in the same boat taking medicines, and it, to me, seemed like a very nicely packaged artificial band-aid that was just masking a problem that made my body think it was gone. Like the medicine that they said would help would also mask the problem and just cover it up, and that's why eventually would have to just keep getting more and more and more. So I'm not, fast forward, I refused all that stuff, and doctors tried to sway me back and forth. I had friends try to sway me back and forth. So lo and behold, I'm here. And I actually am. So actually, let me backtrack a bit. I had it started when it manifested and actually showed up in the physical. It was probably around 2020. Yeah. No, maybe. Yeah, it was probably about a little bit before that even. I'm trying to remember the dates. I'm not in the mind space for dates right now, but I had it start when I actually was in a unhealthy relationship, and right away I kind of knew that it was unhealthy because of the way my body responded to it. And I went almost 5 years with this disease getting worse and worse, and my mental health getting worse, and my body getting unhealthier, and to the point where I looked pale all the time. My skin looked sallow and translucent. Like, it was just bad. Fast forward probably 5 years, the disease is just consistently doing its thing when it's out of remission, which is basically bleeding. And I get to a point where I have my spiritual awakening in that relationship, and I cannot explain it in any other way than there was a moment where everything snapped, and it was what I actually heard it the other day. Someone say the lamp looked different. I don't know that it's the lamp theory this is like the first time I've heard it, but it made sense, where the lamp theory, where you're going through your life fine, and then all of a sudden an object that you normally look at looks different, and you realize, holy crap, my life has been a lie this whole time. So I had one of those moments. I had a spiritual awakening. And it went from 1 second, literally 1 second being one way, to the next second having my eyeballs, my eyes opened, and my brain expanded. And from there, everything changed. The next day, that person was no longer in my life. They went back home, which was hours and hours away, um, which they had actually just come back from, probably 2 or so days before that. And it was a lot of mess. But from that point, I started getting into remission point, where the making the bleeding stop. And with the help of alternative medicine, I was working at, like I said, a dispensary, so that helped with inflammation and all of those things. Um, and then that was the only thing that I actually took to help. Everything else I stayed the same. I didn't change where I lived. I didn't change my diet very much. Actually, that's not true. I stopped eating as much fast food, because then in that relationship, I got to a depression point where I was literally eating like fast food a lot. So I cut that back. Not a lot, but I cut it back. So that probably was the two biggest changes, the medical cannabis, and then the those changes in just taking out stuff like that, just not eating outside as much. Same kind of stuff eating, but not from someone else, just myself. And then shortly after, I met my I was being talked to. Fast forward, and I'm not very long, and I meet my divine counterpart, my twin flame, at another dispenser. Actually, I was going to never go back to dispensaries, but destiny had another another thing in store. So, Karen, back to the story. Karen, during that time, was walking me through the program that she's creating, and I think at this point is either almost done or done. And she's been showing me uh, how to use this modality to heal. And I can't really explain the way that it feels, the way that it transforms, but if you could even take 5 seconds to look into all the different things that it can do and see if it's something that might work for you, I highly recommend even just tapping into it and trying it out for yourself. Um, I, what the heck? I liked doing, one of my gray hairs is going wonky. I like doing it with her because she has so much knowledge, and she's an incredible healer, has a great energy about her. She's hilarious. Um, and she's incredible at pinpointing, not only where it is in your body without you saying anything, but also where it could be coming from. Because that's one of the things that I genuinely loved about the modality. It doesn't just go into the fact like, oh, I have a pain in my hip from sciatica, which I do, and that helped with. But where did it come from? And that's where you hear things like ancestral curses and ancestral traumas play a role in the body, like the physical body. And I didn't even realize at the time all the different things that have stored, not only for myself and this lifetime that I've experienced, but my parents, their parents, my aunts, like just everybody, and how it ingrained into the family line. I had to move to the work area, or the barn. But yeah, so I don't know where I left off, but basically, just to cut the story short, it works with the body to identify, remove, and release the trapped energy or chi or life force, whatever you want to call it, from the body, wherever it is. Like for myself, I had neck, I had hip,
bad gut mostly. There was other things, but the ones that manifested into physical pain, like daily pain, those. And um, it's just something that I genuinely feel needs to be out there more, because it helps teach people one of the biggest things that I believe in, which is that I can heal myself. And that's not like a magical thing, that's not a esoteric thing, that is a truth thing that I feel and want other people to feel and understand. Because I don't care what religion, what spiritual background you have, what is out there being told to you by a doctor, by whatever. Your body can heal, your mind can heal in so many profound ways, and I genuinely feel like doctors, medicines, things like that should be a last resort rather than a first option. Um, because that's what it was back in the day too. They had herbalists, they had people who, um, medicine women and men who healed through herbs, through chanting, through putting hands on the body, through all these types of modalities first, rather than something artificial coming in, taking over what the body does. So that's why I genuinely like it, and that's why I want to push it out there so that other people can really get in tune with themselves. I feel like it's the necessary step for human evolution. Like, in order for me to evolve, which has been a hard ass journey to do, I have to keep healing my physical body, because that's the first layer, right? Like, that's the first thing that comes is this. Everything else is the onion, right? Like, I'm the center, and then everything else, the spiritual body, the emotional body, all those things that are outside of me are outside. So, as Michael Jackson said, starting with the man in the mirror is probably the best medicine to combat all of it. I don't care what it is, uh, cancer, like any of those things. I well, maybe, like, there's, and again, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not saying don't go to the doctor, I'm saying use this stuff as a way to go about it first. Could help prevent stuff from coming in, could help reverse things once they're already started. um, and I believe that is a fact, because medicine, or Western medicine, focuses on a problem. Holistic medicine focuses on the whole. Holistic medicine focuses on the whole body rather than focusing directly at something and hoping for it to just dissipate. And if anybody has been in the spiritual community for any amount of time, you probably heard it once, twice, 100 times. Where energy flows, or where thoughts go, energy flows. If I'm saying, hey, doctor, I have a pain in my hip, then the doctor is like, you got a pain in your hip. We're both focusing on the pain in my hip. Now everybody else that he's working with is focusing on the pain in my hip. Everybody who I come in contact with is focusing on this one spot. Then yeah, the pain's going to persist. The second I started focusing not on the pain, but where was it going to, where was it coming from, that's when I was able to relax. That was when I started noticing, holy crap, this might actually just be my body's stored tension. And I've had, as an example, sciatic pain for, since I met Karen, actually, which was probably maybe 5, 6 years ago. I met her way before I met my twin, and he was, yeah, so it was like 6-ish years ago. That was when it was at its, like, the height, it was at its worst. And um, now, and even more so recently, once I got through all the other blocked energies, because again, and this is where it gets a little complicated. The body is a system, it has layers, it has systems, so it has to, like, kind of go through those layers. And if you know anything about the chakras, it kind of all stems from the root. So if you have a problem in your root, you most likely have problems all over, which makes sense. The root is the first one to come online, and it's also the first one to get messed with. It's that sense of security. It's a lot of us feel shaken, you know, myself, uh, very much so for a long time. So I had to work with that. I had to really um, clear out a lot more of the other chakras and the other areas, things that were even outside of the chakras. See, and that's why I wholeheartedly believe in this modality, because it doesn't just say, let's do a meditation, let's do a chakra healing or whatever. It goes into, I mean, things that I didn't even know I had, like little bones in my face and ears and fingers and toes and inside the organs, the little pieces that you don't maybe even know are there. She, when she would walk it through, she would explain it so that I could see it visually in my mind's eye. And once I saw it, it was like an instantaneous relaxation because it was acknowledgement. And I believe that's one of the most important first steps of any healing is the acknowledgement. The moment you acknowledge something and look it dead in its face, you're already halfway there, right? Saying I have a problem already is half of the problem being solved, because then the rest of it is just figuring out how to remove myself from that problem. Um, and I think that that was the struggle with me for a lot of the things. So again, we're coming up on 22 minutes, so I just want to cut it here. I'm going to leave that link down below. If not, if you don't want to check that out, that's totally fine. Maybe look into biocranial sacral therapy or just that in general and play with it, see how it works for your body. And who knows, it might help transform some things for you as well. Because I know for myself, it transformed a lot, and I cannot not speak about it for other people. So I really hope that this helped somebody out there. And enjoy the rest of this Sunday. I'm going to eat some more food and do a little relaxing. And yeah, so it was great. Have a great night.